and welcome to the Bonus Points podcast. I'm Joe Garrett, being joined by Ollie Guy.
Hello, Joe.
Hello, Ollie. And welcome everyone to the podcast. This is the podcast where we just...
You should say podcast again. You should definitely say it again.
And you should point out any time I've said a word a lot so I get conscious of it. That will really improve.
Maybe think of a different word for it. Episode?
Audio.
Yeah, audio, video, content.
Yeah. So the format of this show
nice.
is we play a game and then we discuss it. Let's say what we liked and didn't like, and then we debate on where it should go on an overall leaderboard. And we are doing a fan favorite game today, a game that came out a long time ago, but people don't stop talking about, including us for this show. So yeah, do you want to talk about Batman Arkham Asylum?
Yeah.
For those that don't know anything about it.
I will read out the Wikipedia entry and then I'm going to hit you with a question straight away.
Ooh, okay.
So get ready. Brace for that.
All right.
Batman Arkham Asylum is a 2009 action-adventure game developed by Rocksteady Studios and published by Eidos Interactive in conjunction with Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment. Based on the DC Comics superhero Batman, Arkham Asylum was inspired by the long-running comic book mythos. In the game's main storyline, Batman battles his arch-enemy, the Joker, who instigates an elaborate plot to seize control of Arkham Asylum, trap Batman inside with many of his incarcerated foes, and threaten Gotham City with hidden bombs. So that's the Wikipedia entry.
Ask away. I'm ready. I'm bracing.
So Isaac in our Discord said, I'm super excited about you guys covering this. The Arkham games are some of my favourites ever. I was wondering, how familiar are you both with Batman and how did that affect your enjoyment of the game? It was my first introduction to the world and the characters and I absolutely loved it as its own thing with no prior knowledge. But it's also an amazing tribute to the mythos of Batman at the same time. Mythos being a word I've never said, and I've just said it twice in the last 30 seconds.
Can you say mythos one more time for me, please, Ollie? So that was like their introduction to just Batman as a
I guess
character.
So, yeah. I'm intrigued to know what your history with Batman, your relationship with the man himself, the man in the cowl.
My long, entangled history with the man himself. Well, I mean, I guess I'm sounding all surprised. Like, not much. I mean, like, the more modern films, I guess, kind of from, like, Batman Returns, Dark Knight. I really enjoy those.
Yep.
I had a VHS of... animated Batman thing. I don't know if it's the thing that this is based on or got the same voice actors from, but I had a video. But I don't think I really liked it very much because it was like there wasn't much action and he was just sad. And I think
that sounds like Batman.
I'd probably enjoy it more now. It was like
yeah.
lots of people talking in places, and I don't think I really understood it. And then I played this game.
Right,
So I had played Arkham Asylum closer to when it came out, and then just from absorbing it from culture because it's almost inescapable, I guess. So that's kind of it, really.
I think the Batman Arkham Asylum is its own thing. I don't think it's based on anything. It's like made for.
So yeah, it has consistencies with the animated series, but it's not like a direct follow-on from any of them. You know, as I said, it's got the same voice actors from them. So it seems like almost like a spiritual successor to it, but it's not within a direct timeline of it, as far as I could tell. Yeah.
So I played this game. I played it when it came out, but not for very long. So I just pretty much disregarded that opinion. Like, who cares what happened back then? It was like I played like an hour or something. So I've seen the 3 Batman films, the famous ones.
The modern ones, I assume.
Yeah, the Christopher Nolan ones.
Yeah.
And I also watched a little bit of Batman the Brave and the Bold once when I was unwell. I watched like a whole season of it because I was sick. Have you heard of that?
Is that like a live action one? Or?
No, it's a cartoon. It's like a comedy.
Okay.
And he's like the only straight man in the whole thing. And it's all jokes around him and he's like really serious. But that's it. And then in terms of superheroes, that's also pretty much it.
We're really similar. Yeah. We're both weird in terms of neither of us are really into superhero stuff. We feel like we're the target market. It's weird that neither of us are into any superhero stuff.
And my understanding of Batman going into this was like there's 2 versions of Batman. There's like the old like camp version, where it's like the silly like, oh, I'm using the Bat credit card and all that. And then there's like the new dark version.
Like Adam West.
Yeah. And then there's like the dark version, which is like, as far as I can tell, pretty hit and miss. Yeah. Some of them are really good, some of them are not so good. But generally, Batman and the villains, I've never really understood how they're connected or like... It's kind of hard to explain, but like when I think of superheroes, I think of like Wolverine. He's like a guy that can regenerate and he has metal claws. And then you have like Deadpool, who is like chaotic and can regenerate. Then there's like a female Wolverine who's like got her claws in her fingers. Then the enemy is Magneto, who can control metal, so like the perfect foil for him. Whereas Batman, I'm always like, he's a bat, and his nemesis is like a guy that tells jokes, and like there's like the Riddler and like the Penguin. I'm like, what? How are these people connected? Like, what are their motivations to be against each other? I've always thought about that. I never understood that.
I mean, Joker's probably a bit different because they do have a history and a relationship, but I think mostly it's not like, oh, the villains are out to get Batman. It's like the villains are trying to do something bad.
Yeah.
The conflict comes from Batman trying to stop them. It's like, well, what is the conflict between like thieves and the police? It's like, well, it's
That's true.
It's just they're trying to do the bad.
Yeah.
They just interact because Batman's trying to stop them.
Yeah,
I assume.
Yeah,
but I think you can tell just from the opening of this game and them talking, like, there's obviously this version is like a mature Batman where there's obviously a long history with the Joker, and it's like, oh, he seems up to something different this time. Like, once it's obviously Batman stopped him like a million times before here, and so they didn't want to set that up, or certainly not.
No, of course,
it couldn't be further from an origin story. It seems like a mature, literally his age, a mature Batman.
Yeah, which is cool. Like, I think the scenario and the environment of this game, like, you probably couldn't write a more exciting scenario for like playing as Batman. Like, all of the villains are already here. You're self-contained on a mad island where like everything has been constructed as like prison cells. It's like you couldn't make a more perfect situation to be playing a Batman game, which is really cool. Like, they obviously really went for it, and also the like art of the island as well is really cool. Like, despite you'd think it would look quite samey, I think they did a good job of having super distinct areas.
Yeah, at least the interiors, like the interiors, the exteriors. I guess the individual buildings, like the greenhouse building or whatever it's called, that like kind of stands. So, but no, the interiors are pretty versatile considering it's all a prison.
Yeah, should we quickly explain what the game is for people who may have not played it?
Yeah, sure.
So you play as Batman, Bruce Wayne, the billionaire nutcase who dresses up as a bat and goes around beating up criminals. And they do make light of that in the game, being like, he's a strange guy, he dresses up as a bat, he runs around punching people. So it's a third-person action game. It's like a beat-em-up. I would say it's nowhere near as complicated as something like Devil May Cry, Bayonetta. It's much more close to Streets of Rage level of beat 'em up. And then you have like some light puzzles to do, and you kind of have this hub world, which is like the outside area, and then you kind of go into each of these buildings, a bit like maybe one of the more modern Resident Evils, where it's like you have this area with this character, this area with this character. So you go around and you basically try and put people back in prison after they've broken out, all the while fighting against something called Titan. Which is like this chemical that they're trying to release.
Also, just the stealth as well.
The stealth. Stealth's a big part of it.
Big third of the game is stealthing around.
Definitely, actually, I don't know if I've got that because it's like cool, fast stealth.
Yeah, it's in some ways it's very forgiving, and then they add a lot of twists kind of later on in the game to make it more difficult. But basically, it's a lot of skulking around the gargoyles. Every room in this prison has interior gargoyles around the outside of it, and you can very easily kind of zip line between them and do like the classic cool thing where you like hang underneath them and like go down and grab them.
The inverted takedown.
Or like the glide kick where you like go towards like you guess what the glide kick is.
And another cool thing about the gargoyles being on the inside is a good point, because I feel like the developers and artists of this game did not let anything get in the way of them having a good time.
No.
They were like, let's just do it. Let's make it mad. Like, when you look at the design, the character design, actually someone did write in about this. 1 second. It was Moonwolf7602 asked what we thought of the character designs, and I think they didn't let realism get in the way of being like, we're going to make the Joker insane proportions. Like, imagine what he'd look like naked. Like, he would look mad. Like, his legs are so, they're almost like, 2/3 of his body or more. And then Batman's like a giant beefcake dude. Like, and then the same with the gargoyles. Like, they're just like, doesn't really make sense, but
and all of just like the minion enemies, all like the prisoners. They're all like giant like bodybuilders. They're all like the exact same model.
Yeah. And then Arkham Asylum itself, it just seems like an inherently evil place, which I don't understand why Batman's like, this is great.
Yeah, there's a lot of like, oh yeah, we're running experiments on the prisoners.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be like, we've electrified the floor. Like, why are you doing this, these prisoners?
I think it just goes back to they didn't want to let any of that ruin. And I think it's typical of a game of that era as well. I think there was more of gameplay first and more arcade roots in games of kind of that 360 era, and I think maybe as graphics has gotten better, it's kind of hard to get away with that when the world looks photorealistic, and then it's the electric floor because the giant alligator's coming.
Well, I was a bit like, the graphics have aged a bit, like it looks kind of funny, but then I kind of changed my viewpoint and was like, they're meant to look like freaks. Everyone in the game looks like a freak. Even Jim Gordon looks weird, and I was like, that's what they've gone for. And I think it still looks pretty good, to be honest. Yeah,
I think at its time it looked good when it came out. It's very typical of an Unreal Engine game of that era. It looks like a lot of what Unreal Engine 3 games look like. That lighting is kind of very
everything's wet,
reminiscent. Yeah, and I think a big reason why it does hold up is because it's dark and wet, and I think that is maybe a little bit more forgiving.
Yeah.
Because the maybe blurrier or lower res details can be a little bit hidden in the background in the darkness. I will say we both played the kind of Return to Arkham remaster.
Yep.
Which when it was released, it was kind of famous for being like a very underwhelming remaster. It was almost a re-release with a few tweaks, but is essentially it kind of looked at least how my memory of the game looked.
Yeah, and I think since then it's had a lot of patches. So it's the only bug I had on mine, which was consistent, was the subtitles. I don't know if you had that. The subtitles would run the whole length of the screen and drop off.
Oh,
so it was like one line of subtitles every time.
I probably had subtitles off. So
okay.
yeah, I didn't notice it.
There's a lot of aspects of this game. So there's like the climbing around, the traversal, like using all the gadgets and stuff like that, which I think is actually a surprisingly large part of this game that a lot of people don't think about when they talk about Batman, because it's obviously all about the combat. But I actually really enjoyed jumping around and being like strangely graceful for a giant man, which I was just like, that was another thing that was like, at first I was like, oh, it's just so weird. Like, why is it when he does a dive roll, he's like, but then I was like, do you know what? They've tried to draw a line here between modern Batman and classic Batman. And as more of his voice lines, the more he started to talk, I kind of realised that's what they were going for. And I was like, actually, he's a weird guy, but I quite like him. He's quite off-putting, but in like a charming way. Same with the like using the zip line and stuff. Like sometimes it was a bit like the thing would be zip lining would be just above you, and it would be like this whole like animation. But he's charming. I think he's charming.
Apparently the inspiration for kind of all those gadgets and the way you kind of unlock them as you go, almost Metroidvania-like. There's certainly influence from that. There's apparently Zelda. Like
makes sense.
You think about, you've got the hook shot, or you've got the bombs that you can blow up walls. It really kind of has all of that. You have like this gel to blow up walls, and it's so cute. He draws a little bat every time he does it.
I've actually got a question about that from Oi with the Poodles already. Said, did you feel the urge to eat the explosive gel?
Not once I saw what it does.
Yeah, like whipped cream.
It always has that. I sound like the
it's good.
It really sounds like
little bat sign. Like if the developers were going to let realism and stuff get in the way of a good time, he wouldn't spray a little bat symbol, would he? He would just spray a big lump.
Do you know what I did like with those gadgets is that I think all of them have use in combat and in kind of either traversal or helping you get further. Like you could throw your Batamarang at enemies or at electrical panels to break them, or you could use your hook shot to get places or pull people towards you. So like there was always a use of, obviously the bomb, you could blow people up to like stun them because Batman never kills, or to like break through walls or whatever.
Yeah. What was your favourite gadget?
Probably like, I can't remember what it's called, like the zip line. Not there's one that lets you just go horizontal. Just the main one that you use just for getting around.
The horizontal one, I was like, this is boring. And I was like, I literally love it and I use it all the time. any scenario, I was like, where I could find a straight line, I was like, I'm using the zip line. Even going through enemies, like kicking them all down. It's just good fun, isn't it?
There's a lot of kind of in that Metroidvania game type of thing where you see a lot of places you can't access yet. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
You see like a grate up in the ceiling and it's like, oh, I can't go there yet. And those annoying like security walls of the little like lasers things that you can't get through.
Yeah.
And it's and like, you know, okay, I'm going to get a thing to eventually open it. But I'm like, well, I'm not going to remember to come back here. You know?
I would say it's not really worth going back. Did you ever go back to any of the areas?
It's just like Riddler trophies, as far as I could tell, mostly.
And there's no enemies, so and there's no music. So you're just kind of walking around.
And I think that's where the Metroidvania part falls through. Is you have this open world with smaller contained areas, basically different buildings, and you'll complete your objective there, but there's a bunch of other stuff left there that you can't access yet. But the game rarely gives you a story reason to go back. I'm not going to go, you unlock these Riddler trophies, which are these collectibles. And I always went for them when they were there. But I'm not going to go back and, as you say, wander around an empty building because that's boring.
Yeah, and the weird thing about the Riddler is I don't think he knows what a riddle is. So say, like, you would expect the Riddler to be... So basically what happens is he gives you a clue, and then you have to, like, look at something, focus on it, and then you'll basically pass it. So say, for example... He said, "What has hands but never washes its face?" And then you'd look at a clock. No, they're not like that. He's like, "Do you ever feel like you need to vent, Batman?" And then you look at a vent. And it's like, that's not a riddle. It's not. It's like, I'm smoking a pipe. And you look at a pipe and it's like, "Yep, you got it." It's like, it's not a riddle. Is it?
I also realised that you'd have a room and it would look quite generic copy-paste route, and then there'll be one area where there's just a really highly detailed thing. I'll be like, I just scan that.
Go and look at it.
You walk in, there'll just be like one really standout painting, or like, oh, there's a distinctive like phone box here, or something. It's like, okay, I'll scan that. It's like, you solved my puzzle, Batman.
It's like, a third grader could solve that one.
It's like, you said it.
The on the scanning, there are the visors, various visors, detective modes. There's also ones for like finding things, which are kind of automatically selected. But like part of the feeling of being like, oh, I am Batman is like that really easy, like it's such a good idea, but the effect of clicking through the visors, being like, which one is the one I need to use? Even though you're not doing it, it's like, God, he's got everything. He can see everything. So those, I think I don't know if every modern game needed to have detective mode.
Yeah, it set a lot of trends. Yeah. I think detective mode sucks.
Do you?
Because the game, you could play the whole game with it on.
You could, yeah.
And you'd find more things. It would make it easier. You can see like all of the enemies through walls and what weapon they have and stuff. And so like, I'm always torn between... I don't want to spend the whole game looking in like a negative view and seeing the enemies as like skeletons. I want to see all the art.
Yeah.
But everything in my gamer brain is saying, well, just leave it on because it's so easy. And then there's some even like moments where they're trying to do a cool bit. Like you're going through like the crazy ward with all of the unhinged prisoners, and they're all like reaching out of their cells to grab at you and scream. It's meant to be all scary, but at the same time, I'm following footsteps or something. Yeah, and so the whole time, I'm just like, I'm not seeing any of their animations or anything because the game constantly wants me to be in detective mode, where it's a fine effect, but like it's not like you just press it and it does the scan of it. It just is a whole new mode, and it doesn't restrict you in any way when you're in it. So you can do everything in it in detective mode as you can out.
Do you know what's absolutely mental? I was about to say, how would you fix detective mode? And you said like you just press a button to scan. That's also what bats do. Sonar,
like
that makes more sense, doesn't it?
Or when you're in it, you can just like walk around. You can't do any other actions. You can't fight. You can't. I mean, there's I would be shocked if they kept it as it is in the future games.
I think they changed it, but they changed it more because the artists of the game were like, we do all this work.
But that's the reason I wanted them to change it. It's because I want to see all that art.
Yeah, of course. I also think, this is really nitpicking, I'm sorry everyone, but I think that all of the people you're following dropping something or doing something, like, it could be very easily kept in the game world by, like, say, you follow that woman's handprints? Mm-hmm. Say, like, they showed a cutscene of her and she hurts her ankle. It's like, okay, that's why she's touching the wall. Like, Jim Gordon knows to drop his pipe or whatever. And instead it's just like, oh, there's random piles of tobacco.
I think they say he left a trail.
Yeah, but they could, like, rather than saying that, they could have just shown him doing it. And then you'd be like, oh, that's what he's doing. Or like, same with the handprints or anything else like that. I think would be a very easy little, like, in-universe thing. But, yeah, overall, like, the feeling of being Batman, the detective visors being one of them, obviously being absolutely insanely good at combat. And the other thing I really like about playing as Batman is no matter what you do, he's always 100% silent. Other than blowing things up. But like climbing up near someone, they're not going to be like... It's like he doesn't make any noise. Jumping off something, he just lands silently. That was like really cool.
Yeah, I guess if you sprint is kind of the only thing you can kind of crouch.
Does that make noise?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't do that in
because you can hold... Because what... So one of the... I didn't mean to get into complaints. It's just kind of happened to come up. One of the other things that really annoyed me is the movement in the game. So there's 3 ways to move. So if you just push the analog stick, you walk with the least haste I've ever seen someone walk.
He's serious though. Batman's like...
It's a slow saunter that you walk around. It's like really slow.
Yeah.
The other option, one of the other options is you hold A to do a really fast sprint, which sometimes feels like a bit too fast inside. Also, it's annoying because you've got to hold A.
Yeah, but also the animation of that is good, like classic Batman. Where he's and his cape's flowing, and that's a nice touch.
So it's like you got like too slow, sometimes too fast, but also annoying because you're holding A. And then the middle one is you hold right trigger, which is how you like sneak around, which is faster than the walk. Is
it? Oh, of course it is. Yeah, of course it is. Now I'm thinking about
it. So I found myself like I was kind of not happy with any of them. Like I want to just push in that direction and have a jog.
Yeah.
And then a sprint on something not holding A.
And
then you'd expect the sneak to be a bit slower to not have a reason why you can just always do it. Like I'd be like, I'm going up some stairs. Sprinting's a bit awkward holding A and too fast. So I'm like just crouching up the stairs. I know there's no one up there. I'm just doing it to go quicker. It's just the controlling Batman outside of combat and stealth, which is a little bit more... You kind of almost don't really move around. You're always either ziplining or kind of almost teleporting to enemies, moving so quick. Yeah. But just general traversal around the asylum, I found a little bit annoying.
Oh, that's so weird because I think one thing you're saying, it's a Metroidvania and it's inspired by Zelda, but for me, the game really reminded me of Resident Evil 4, and I think because I played through that game so many times, like the movement. I really found it really familiar to that, like holding down A to run, and then you kind of have these like hero moments.
But
where
you can jog. You can jog in it in Resident Evil 4.
No, you can either walk or you can hold A to run. Oh, Resident Evil 4, the original.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the other thing is like the hero moments of like in Resident Evil, you'll jump for a window and the camera will like change. And in this game, like you open a vent and the camera will like swing around.
First person.
And then the same with the combat, where it's like you tend to have a big room of goons, and then you have like 2 guys in the midst that you need to keep an eye on. That's very similar to Resident Evil as well. It's like you're kind of running around, like herding them, and then like, okay, I'm going to go in and like take that guy out and then work my way back out again. Which I thought it was all inspired by Resident Evil when I googled it. It wasn't, or at least they kept it quiet. Even the like you go to the different distinct areas was like really similar to that. But yeah, the combat. What do you think about the combat?
It's funny because the combat is one of the things people liked most about this game when it came out.
Yeah.
Because it was actually, it's hard to imagine now, but it was quite different to anything else, and it was heavily copied. Like I think you still see its influence today in like the modern Spider-Man games and stuff like that. Kind of quickly dodging between enemies, the counter, press Y to counter when you see a little marker above their head.
Yeah.
So like I don't think it's aged a bit, mostly because of its simplicity.
Yep.
But I still think it's like quite satisfying, and I leveled up a lot. Like there's basically a thing where you can do extra damage if you time your hits.
I didn't know that.
Oh,
was that a level up thing, or was that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's like a thing you can upgrade, and it means like if you hit right after your last hit, it does more damage.
Oh, okay.
And when I had that, I found it a lot more fun because it almost became like a rhythm game because I'm like watching his animations and like boom, boom, like trying to hit like just after his hits, and that kind of made it a little bit more fun. But like I think the combat was fine. Like by the end, I was done, and if I was in a big combat section, I was like, yeah, I'm kind of done with it.
I was definitely,
but I enjoyed it enough.
Yeah, I think it's just the combat is so simple, and the enemy variety of being like just a big guy who runs into the wall.
The big guys sucked.
And there's so many of them.
Yeah.
You do it so many times.
And they'd be like, now you've got to fight 2 of them. Yeah, so it's basically these guys, like the classic enemy thing of it charges at you. I mean, in this one, you throw a batamarang, but then you dive out the way and it hits the wall to stun it, and then you hit it.
Yeah.
And like, at first, the first one's like a boss. Like when you fight one of them. Then eventually you're fighting like them as well as other enemies. And they just take so long and they're really annoying. Yeah. And like when you fight one of them and there's other people fighting you, and then it's like, oh, that's the one with the knife and that's the one with it. It's just like, it just becomes like like, I don't know, like irritations.
I did that fight where you do the two big guys together, and I was like, oh no, the Joker's going to be a big guy, isn't he? Like, because he do it so many times, I was like, the final boss is going to be a big guy, and he was. I was like, oh no. But luckily, the fight with him is different. He doesn't just charge into the wall and then you punch him. But yeah, I think
you barely see him. He just stands at the top, like shouting at you.
Yeah, and also I think the enemy variety is pretty bad. Like, it is pretty much the same.
We've kind of said it. Then there's plants that you have to punch.
I didn't really understand what you... I didn't even kill. I just ran past them. I didn't really know what you were meant to do.
If you run up to them, you press X or whatever, and then
Yeah.
you punch your fist in and destroy them.
Right, okay.
And then they shoot little orbs at you, and you throw your Batarang to hit them.
Batarang? Why do you get his Batarang? You're saying like Catamarang. Batarang. Batarang. Batamarang.
Batarang. Sounds like a dessert.
Yeah.
It's like a meringue and a Battenberg. That's what I'm thinking of, isn't it? A
Batarang. Speaking of bosses,
yeah.
what did you think about the female representation of the game?
I mean, I don't know particularly with Batman. I know in comic books. I know. I wonder if this was pretty accurate.
I think it was pretty close to
representation of. I mean, historically there was a target market for comic books.
Definitely.
And, I mean, Harley Quinn is like constantly just sexualized in like any media, and then there's Poison Ivy as well.
I didn't even realise she'd be sexualized, and she was. I haven't really thought about her before. Harley Quinn, I was like, okay, like it's just what happens. And Poison Ivy, I was like, oh yeah, that's also a woman, so therefore she's basically naked. Like, really mad.
At least like Poison Ivy was like kind of her own motivation and kind of separate to, rather than just, I don't know, just following orders.
She had her own boss fight as well, which was a bit different.
Yeah.
Where she's like in the flower and you have to...
Yeah, I was sucked.
Yeah.
When you're just throwing your Batarangs.
You're throwing my Batarangs. Literally just repeatedly throwing them while she's trying to hit the floor.
I'm just spamming left trigger and I'm just... Yeah, and it'd be like, oh, it's like... Try to time it to do more damage when the flower opens. It's like, yeah, but
I've got unlimited.
I've got unlimited, and it always does damage even if it's not open. So it's not like I don't wait. I'm just constantly throwing them and just dive. Yeah, I mean, I think all of the boss fights sucked.
Yeah, I would say the outstanding villain by quite a large margin was the Scarecrow.
Yeah. I guess Scarecrow, if you consider that a boss fight, it's almost like a stage.
Yeah, because he gets eaten by the croc, right? Is that how that ends? He gets grabbed by the... I can't remember. He drops his bag, doesn't he? Yeah.
He does. He gets eaten by...
That's actually another example of them not letting realism get in the way. The Scarecrow's all of his fingers are needles. It's like, how does he do anything? How does he pick anything up?
I assume that's the character, right? They're not...
I actually think that might also be unique for this game as well, that design. I think all the designs were all like... Except for Bane, I think they were all unique for this. Like, obviously the Joker looks like the Joker, but that particular version.
Yeah, I know Mark Hamill, who voiced the Joker and in the animated series, he saw like the visual design and he like changed, like he doesn't do his normal Joker voice. Obviously it's similar to it, but he made it a bit darker and more aggressive and based on like the visual design.
Sitting in the core of the voice booth like
he's like a method actor.
Yeah.
He's like
the regular Joker's just normal to me. I'm so crazy. Do you know what? All this said, I actually had a lot of fun with the game. I think it's really cool.
Oh yeah. I think we say it before. It's always easier to say critiques, but I mean, just on the boss fight still, because they're a bit that should be a high point, and the fact that apart from the Scarecrow encounters, they're all a low point. And you could see the potential, like the Croc fight, where you're like in the sewers and you're like, it's like, be quiet or he's going to like jump out and get you. But I think they made that mechanic and they're like, we've done all this work doing it, so we just got to make this whole encounter way longer than it needs to be.
Yeah, also, ultimately, Croc, big guy. You just throw a Batamarang at.
Yeah.
Same as the other big guys, really. Which is just a bit of a shame.
It was also a bit confusing because you set like a trap when you enter and then you get him chasing you. So I was like, okay, I'm going to run back to the trap to get him.
But, I did the same.
I
got video footage of me trying to do the same thing. Yeah,
but he just dives under the water. And then at the end, during the cutscene, he does chase you. So, whatever, video games. But Yeah, just like because I'd always looked forward to the boss encounters, and then every time I was like, "That sucks." What about Scarecrow? We talked about Scarecrow a little bit because the actual main stage bit was fine. I thought, where you're kind of like you're in your mind, and Scarecrow's this giant thing, and you're kind of platforming up like these floating platforms, and you got to dodge him. He's like looking back and forth, and like it was an enjoyable twist from the normal gameplay. But there was always a sequence before that I think are my favorite parts in the whole game, where he's basically trying to scare or confuse Batman, and it will be, maybe you're walking down a corridor of the asylum, and it suddenly starts transitioning to like a New York or Gotham like back alley, and it's where
really
your parents
cool, really
died.
Cool.
And there's a few other ones. There's one where you kind of switch roles with the Joker, which was a really cool moment later on in the game. So those moments kind of really stood out to me as done really well and kind of holding up today as kind of being interesting and just visually, just fun to look at.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't want to spoil it because the big famous Scarecrow moment I already knew about before I started playing. So I was a bit like, when it happened, I'm sure I would have gone mad if I didn't know, because I knew. I was like, oh, like okay. But the back alley one that changes, that's really cool.
Because it's really subtle. It's just like, there's a dustbin there now. And then it gradually changes from like an interior prison or like mansion it's set in, and then to, outside.
And then you play as child Bruce Wayne, and he looks so weird. I don't know why. He looks weird. I think it's like an adult's body, but they like shrunk it down.
Kids always look weird in that era.
He looks so weird.
All the kids are weird in that era.
Yeah. But yeah, speaking of Bruce Wayne, pretty interesting guy. That was not what I was expecting at all. Like, he has a real, like, kind of like Boy Scout way about him that's like, I'll always find another way in. Oh, yes, I must use this. He's like, really, like, kind of reminded me of Dale Cooper from Twin Peaks.
Was he a bit more jollier than you expected?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, way more jollier, way more, like, flamboyant and, like, cheeky. Like, just a weird guy. There's a bit where they're like, oh, you built a Batcave at the Arkham Island, and he's like, haha, who do you think you're talking to? Yeah. And I was like, that's great.
He's like, how did you do it secretly?
Yeah.
And he's like,
But at the same time, I do think with his billions of dollars, he could probably do like more good for the city of Gotham than just punching people. Like, if you put that money into like good things, he could probably do. It wouldn't be a very, very fun game, but
there's other ways to stop crime. You bring up the poverty line.
Dresses as a bat and punches them. And he also has, do you know what? For a good guy, he has a complete disregard for like property. Like, there's a bit where he has to get his zip line upgrade. And he just smashes his plane through the side of the wall just to drop off the upgrade, and it flies off. And I was like, God, he doesn't care about anything, does he?
Cool moment, though.
It is really cool. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get to go in the plane. And it just flew away. And I was like, okay, all right, fair enough. Well, now what?
I think that's the first time we just both done. I guess one of the things I'll talk about, well, one I mentioned just because it's funny. When I played this back in the day, I played some like Game of the Year edition or something, which came with 3D glasses. So I played it in 3D.
The whole thing?
For about 10 minutes. And then, because I just with a normal TV with like cardboard glasses, it was like, like those.
So was it like red and blue?
It wasn't red and blue, but it was like looked blurry. And then you put the glasses on, and it looked still a little bit blurry and not very good. It was not. It was a marketing gimmick, whatever. They wanted to re-release the game because people kept buying it.
Also detective mode, if it was red and blue, would have looked mad because the enemies are like red and the background's blue, so it'd be like you could only see like if you shot one eye, you'd be able to see like one.
Well, that red and blue thing you don't see in red and blue, right? You see
the screen, the images in red and blue. That's how it works.
But you don't.
No.
Whatever. The other thing is I never felt an urge to play the others, and I think it's because they were open world. Mm-hmm. And I think I really like the contained environment, and Batman is trapped in this place. And I tended, I still am generally not a fan of most open world games.
Yeah.
And, apparently they're amazing. So, I'm not judging them on that. I'm kind of more tempted to play them now than I have been in the past. But even though I did enjoy this game back in the day, I just never bothered with any of the others. This is still the only one I've played.
Yeah, so Caleb11307 on YouTube said, this is probably my favourite one in the series, as I really like the smaller scale and how linear it is compared to the other two, which really helps improve the atmosphere and set the tone of the game. I personally think it should have gone even further with the horror aspects. I'd like to hear what you guys thought about the slight horror themes it goes for. And then they said, especially compared to other superhero games, but this is probably the only superhero game I've ever played. So. I think I saw some of the original concept art for this game, and they went really heavy into the horror. Like the Joker's face was like stitched on, and like which was really cool. But I guess it's just one of those things, isn't it? Where like it's hard to please everyone. I would have liked it to be more scary, especially because the way the game characters lean into Batman being a bit of a weirdo. I think like that for me, that was a really interesting angle of like the Joker and the Tannoy being like, there's a man in tights running around and apparently he's punching and killing you all, and it's apparently there's less of you down there than there is now, and it has like you had that like terrified condition, it shows the enemies, and like that horror aspect of it, of being like the hunter as well, was really cool. But I guess they had to.
It was also quite fun when Joker would like be having a go at like his goons.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, it's just one bat, can't you stop him, guy? You know, it was like, guys, like, I think, have you even noticed? Like, he's taken one of you out. Like things like that. It's just quite fun, the villains shouting at the other villains.
Yeah, the apparently they used to have bigger plans for the like enemy condition, becoming like nervous, terrified.
Yeah.
But they had to dial it back because it was basically made the AI too unpredictable for a stealth game, which I guess makes perfect sense.
Because you can see like their heart rate. And like, when
it's
am
cool.
When
it's
am I ever
really
going to
cool.
need to... Yeah, it's cool to see, but like that's not useful information.
Yeah, apparently they were like, they would like, when they were nervous, they would like erratically turn around and stuff, which like makes sense. But then I guess from a gameplay perspective, it'd be quite annoying to be trying to sneak up on people that are doing that.
And then in terms of like the horror side, I think even though like I we said it holds up okay visually, I think because it was just obviously an older game, I think at a certain point, like you lose the horror. It's like say if you went to play like a PS1 horror game, most of them, like they would be not as scary as they would have been playing it in the day. Same with PlayStation, and I think just just because of just how it looked a little bit. I mean, I don't think they were actually trying to scare you. I think
they're just trying to make something dark, really.
Yeah, and I do think I'll definitely be more interested in kind of Batman theming compared to like Marvel, which is a little bit more. Yeah, well, in terms of that sort of darker tone, like a little bit more like, I know it sounds silly, but a little bit more like realist, like the croc is out in the sewers. I know it's like it's ridiculous, but compared to like the quippy Marvel dialogue and that
especially
sort
from
of
the films.
hero stuff. Because I did play the Spider-Man, the Insomniac one on PS4. I did play through that, and I enjoyed it fine. I mostly just wanted to swing around the city. Was the main thing I wanted to do. I think that's a really good game, but I think I enjoy the tone and structure of this type of game more.
The last thing, well, actually, I've got two more things. One of them is, we talked about very briefly the upgrade system. I don't think it's really necessary. I think the way you unlock items and the equipment in the game, they could have just done the same. That said, the bats flying out experience points thing, so cool. When you kill an enemy and the bats go like...
just the effect.
Yeah, that's such a good effect. Especially when you kill a boss, there's loads of them like spiraling out. That was super cool. But generally, I was just buying them in order, like the upgrades. I was like, it's fine.
I mean, this big nerd here. Like, I always think with games like this, and it actually probably didn't matter too much in this, is I always think I'm going to upgrade what I will need to help me in a boss fight. Because I always feel like if I'm going to get stuck somewhere, it will probably be a boss. Okay. And so there's a lot of like the gadgets that you have wouldn't do anything to a boss. No, they wouldn't. No. And most of the upgrades were upgrading gadgets. So I basically went all in on just attack damage and health.
Same.
Because I was like, that's going to be applicable to almost any situation. Yeah. Whereas like, throw a batarang that was going to distract a guard or so. It's like, that's not going to help me. Like in any boss fights is where I have a higher chance of getting stuck.
And the special attacks, like you could buy like an instant finisher or a throw, like they were a bit finicky to actually get to work.
There's a lot of like hold left trigger A and X and stuff.
Yeah, and it's like not only that, it breaks your combo as well. So I didn't really end up. I did buy the one where you could throw them back into a crowd, but it takes so long to kind of get going that someone else would just hit me in the back of the head. So I ended up not really using that. The other thing I wanted to quickly bring up, friend of the show Jack Marshall used to work for Rocksteady, and I said to him like, "Oh, have you got any like what can you tell us about Rocksteady?" He gave me nothing. He wouldn't give me anything. All he said was, you can't talk about Rocksteady without talking about their downfall.
Oh, okay.
And he's not wrong.
Was he saying like, I can't share information, or he just...
Yeah, he's a bit of a funny guy. He's really secretive. He's really... We asked him about Unity. He wouldn't tell us anything. He was like, oh, we can't do it.
Well, he worked there then, to be fair, at the time.
He's not wrong. Like, we've obviously had Suicide Squad very recently. And before that, either before that or maybe just after, there was that other Arkham game with the co-op one. We play as two superheroes.
Was that them? That wasn't them, though.
Was it not?
I don't think that was them.
Oh, was it not? Okay, well, anyway, Suicide Squad.
No, I think they made this, City, Night, and then Suicide Squad.
Yeah, and not Origins, not Blackgate. That was
there was like Gotham Villain something.
Gotham City Imposters.
That's not the one I'm thinking of, though, is it?
I don't know. That was way before this. That was a first-person shooter.
Yeah, that's the one. I know the one you were talking about. I don't think that was Rocksteady, though.
No, but Suicide Squad was.
Suicide Squad was.
Yeah, which obviously, I mean, who knows what happened with that? I guess maybe pressure to make something more multiplayer focused, third-person shooting being something that a lot of players could do, so therefore it kind of went in that direction.
Yeah, well, it was a live service game.
Yeah.
You know, and it's obviously, unless it has come out, we don't know where that came from, but Warner Brothers put out a statement saying they're going all in on live service game.
Yeah.
They released it. I wonder whether this was the creative vision from the team at Rocksteady.
Are you the world's greatest detective, like Batman? Figuring that one out.
It doesn't feel as clean as some other studios where it just feels like, oh, maybe enough of the core team have left now, or maybe they had one great idea and they've been struggling to follow up. Like it feels like almost an unfair downfall.
yeah. Actually, I did just remember Jack did once give me a story about Rocksteady that I'm sure he won't mind me sharing, because it definitely isn't confidential. It's that he worked there definitely in the height of Arkham being a franchise rather than one game, and he said that people used to try and take photographs through the windows of the office. How crazy is that? Mad, isn't it? Fans are mad.
Yeah, I mean, people are rabid for that stuff. There was Origins as well, which wasn't Rocksteady.
That wasn't them, no.
Yeah,
and Blackgate wasn't them either. That was the 2D.
Okay.
There was like a 3DS 2D one.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, have you got anything else before I move on to these facts?
I guess one thing, it's always just worth saying that the game was hugely successful.
Oh, yeah.
So it came out 2009. By 2011, it sold over 4 million copies. And I'm sure with re-releases and remasters and stuff, like I think the series was a huge hit, financially, and also, as we kind of mentioned, hugely influential over a lot of action games that came out after it. So I think that's worth saying. One other little fact as well is I just found this out, like literally just looking on the wiki, but I thought was interesting, is because they started working on City like quite in the development of this. They had about like 7 months left of making Arkham. They were already planning City. Yeah. So they were able to put like Easter eggs in, and they had one Easter egg that they hid in about City behind like a wall that you can blow up, and no one found it.
Right.
So eventually they just said, like, where
that's
it
a
is.
shame, isn't it? They shouldn't have said.
But like months like later, like I think like City was out or something, and then they were just like,
what was the Easter egg?
I think it was like the map of City or something. It was like it was a room.
Cool. Yeah,
it was like a room of all stuff about Arkham City that they hid in, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna hide it in a really secret place." But they hid it too well.
I wouldn't have told anyone. I would have kept it, and then one day that would come out and it would be a viral video of someone finding it.
I love that. I love those things that have been hidden and people don't find for years. Like you know, like the Halo 3 one.
No, what's that?
Where it's like, I can't remember specifically what it is, but it's on a very certain day. If during like the loading screen or the opening screen, you hold some buttons in like, it does like that blue ring, in like that weird effect. It basically says like "Happy Birthday" to one of the developers' wives. But no one ever found it.
Yeah,
or like
that's probably for
years.
The one that I know about is the Mega Man 11, which came out in 2017. Apparently, there's an Easter egg in that no one's ever found, but people are starting to suspect that developers have just said that to get people to keep playing it. Like it's got to that level where like everyone has checked it, PC version has been scraped, like they can't find it. It's like
Shadow of the Colossus. They were looking for like a thing for ages because the director said there's one thing people haven't found yet, but like they think it might be a translation error or something, and maybe they have found.
Like you haven't found a way to make peace with slaying the beasts.
And also, I know we're going off, but I do love this topic. Do you know like the Fez one, the Fez secret?
No.
So it's basically this thing with all these different secrets, and basically you have to input all these different commands, and if you do it right, you unlock something. But it's like there's a way to work it out.
Yeah.
But players have never worked it out, but they brute force the solution. So they know the solution, but they don't know how you were actually meant to have worked it out. So it's almost like 42, the meaning of life, where it's like that's the answer.
Oh, no one else.
Yeah, but what's the question?
Yeah.
It's always like they know the answer, but not how you are actually meant to get to it. So they're still trying to work it out, even though they know the answer. I think that's really funny.
Did you play that game?
Briefly.
Okay, so it wasn't that good.
If I gave it another shot now, I think I would probably get into it a bit more.
Right, fair enough. Right, Evan Harryardy, let's run through some of these facts. Arkham Asylum was developed in 18 months. Story and gameplay was made from the ground up together. Very cool. Close to what you were saying earlier on, earlier prototypes had the combat be a rhythm action game with the camera entering a 2D view, having the player attack based on screen circle prompts, similar to Hi-Fi Rush. Which I guess kind of makes sense.
I wonder if that's a hangover, that upgrade, what makes you tired. I wonder if that was like required.
I just think so. Development began. Rocksteady had 40 employees working on Asylum. One of them was an engineer who solely worked on Batman's cape, which is why it looks so luscious. There were ideas for other islands, Lighthouse and Chapel Rock, one with the Batcave underneath, and had a murder mystery investigation. Rocksteady wanted to have Mad Hatter. I didn't know he was a villain. Batman. And Mr. Freeze in the game. I swear I played a Batman demo with Mr. Freeze in it for this game. Where you like go underneath the... You have to like go underneath the ground. Someone must know what I'm talking about, where it's like, you lift the vents and you can like go underneath.
Yeah.
The main part of the fight was doing that.
It must have been City,
Maybe
right?
it was for City, or maybe it's one of the newer ones, yeah. Okay, so... Oh, one thing we didn't talk about, actually, which Evans mentioned here, is his armour. So his armour like takes battle damage. That's really cool. Really cool. The first time you glide, you notice that his cape is like torn.
That's cool.
That's a really cool effect. I mean, anyway, he was saying that the armour was meant to be like piece by piece throughout the game, but I guess that doesn't really make sense at the end of the day, does it? One of the coolest weird facts about Arkham games was how it inspired the Batman movie. Before Matt Reeves' rewrite, the plot of the Batman 2022 would have mirrored Arkham Asylum Origins, with Affleck's Batman being stuck in Arkham Asylum while Deathstroke hunts him down, before defeating him with Batgirl and reinstating his no-kill rule. So I guess in that case he was like, you have to die, but after you, no more.
That's my last one, I promise.
Yeah.
Just my last one.
That's my last one. I've fallen off the wagon.
But none more after this, I promise.
Day one of my recovery. The no-kill roll. Right. That's everything I've got.
That'd be a good movie.
What? The Arkham one?
Yeah. That'd be a good setting for a movie.
I mean, the Arkham setting is just, it's really, really clever.
Yeah, but the Arkham, as it is here, like on an island and stuff, like that's invented. Like that's not...
I know, it's not real. It's documentary. It's invented.
So the man isn't really a bat.
No.
It was confusing. Like the setting of Arkham, like where it's isolated from the city, isn't...
Oh, it's for the game. It's for the game.
Yeah, that's invented to make kind of trap Batman there. Although I know they say, the idea is, he's stuck there. He can't just go and get resources or get away, whatever. It's like he's got a flying car.
But isn't the whole thing like the Joker's hidden bombs in the? Oh, actually, really interesting fact. This is. You'll be glad you hung around for this. The Joker bombs, when they go off, the person on the phone is like, apparently they're full of kittens and marzipan. And do you know why that's significant? Because like a C4 plastic explosive smells like marzipan. How cool is that? I never knew that.
What about the kittens? Sounds like a cat when they blow up.
Meow. Meow. They've got tails as well. Anyway, so should we put it on the list?
Let's put it on the list.
Did you know we have a Patreon? Maybe you're unsure what that is.
Patreon allows you to support us directly, and in return you get exclusive stuff. Access to our Discord server, behind-the-scenes content, and an exclusive podcast series.
Your support means we can up our production and continue making fun videos. You can join us at patreon.com/the bonus points. And it has a free trial too.
Woohoo!
Right. Actually, let's just quickly say, easy game to laugh at because it's so silly, but we did both enjoy the game.
We enjoyed it. It was a safe pick because I'd played it before. I was wondering how much it held up.
Yeah.
There's aspects of the design that has aged more than I was expecting it to have.
Yeah.
Mostly the kind of the movement stuff, the boss fight. It also just has a lot of 360 PS3 era stuff like slow walking with your finger in your ear.
Mate, yeah.
It's not the worst version of it, but a lot of things it was like, oh yeah, we moved away from that. Like,
yeah, I know the intro is like meant to be super cool, but God, is it long?
I didn't mind the intro.
No, it's just like, let me get on with it. God,
yeah, it
man.
was a bit too long.
Yeah. And when you see Croc, it's like, what is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a really cool moment.
It's like, oh, can't wait to see him later.
Throw a Batamarag at him.
Yeah. Didn't live up to the hype from the first time you see him.
Okay. Batman Arkham Asylum. Would you like to go first?
Yeah.
Don't sound like you do.
Well, I'm just looking at other games. I'm just lower than I think I expected to be.
Yeah.
Because I do like this game, but you know, it's a pretty good list. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking I probably enjoyed the beginner's guide more, which is at 58. So I'm kind of looking somewhere around there.
Okay, you're looking lower than me. I think...
Is the beginner's guide too low? Is that what it is?
Yeah, probably. But also, don't forget about the ending. We had that big talk about the ending, didn't we?
yeah.
It's a story game and the ending falls flat a little bit, which is a shame.
But you're never going to forget it. It's so interesting. And like,
I also think it's probably the best episode we did. That episode was really good.
It spawned a lot of interesting conversations.
All right, let's first of all, then, should we move beginner's guide up?
Yeah.
We're here now. Where are we moving it up to? I mean, I would be happy for it to go up as far as probably What Remains of Edith Finch. I think Beginner's Guide's better than What Remains of Edith Finch.
I probably wouldn't go quite that far. I'd go above Harold Halibut, I think.
Which is what number? You have to tell me now because there's too many.
That's number 40.
Okay, so you're not
pretty
far
close.
off. Not far off. Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
We need there's other ones I want to jiggle around there, but I don't want to get too much into that now.
Oh,
I think
what
the
have I
Forgotten
done?
City's low.
Yeah, okay. You think the Forgotten City's low?
Yeah. I really like the Forgotten
Look,
City.
while I'm moving Harold Halibut into that, we may as well move Forgotten City as well.
Just put Forgotten City, just put it under Beginner's Guide for now. Nice and tidy. So that's going up from 45 to 41.
Yeah, okay, fine. And then that'll do it for now, and then I'll move everything else.
If it wasn't easy, that's such a good demonstration of how non-sacred this list is. How quickly and flippantly we probably argued for like 20 minutes to get those in that position, and we're like, move it up like 5, I guess.
Okay, look, it's done.
Right, where's Batman? He's
Phoenix
hiding.
Wright's
There he is.
now at the top 50.
Oh,
That's wrong, isn't it?
Phoenix
wrong.
Phoenix wrong.
Phoenix wrong, I'd say.
Objection.
Okay, well, for now, he's going to have to be out of the top 50. Okay, so if I just do this, then we're back. We're square. Okay, so Batman Arkham Asylum.
So for me, above Papers, Please, which is 59. I probably should go. Yeah, it's really. I just think the Beginner's Guide was way too low. I can get higher. Mm-hmm. I think I'd go like maybe around Fear at 53.
Okay, let's move it over to there for now.
Yeah, I think I'd probably go just one. I'd probably go over Fear
It's
under
probably
Halo.
It's better than Fear.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, I would put it more near like I think this is my problem is like I put it near Dead Rising, Skate, Alan Wake, but they're all from the same generation. But I did have an equal amount of fun with these games. Probably not as much as Dead Rising, but Skate, I'd say it was probably neck and neck with that, which is 38. It's a lot higher than you'd put it. I had more fun with the like running around bits. Like you were getting frustrated with the controls, but then again, I didn't like the combat as much because I was like, oh, it's a bit basic.
Yeah,
it's a bit basic.
I think we're on the same page with the combat.
Yeah.
But I think I appreciate it a lot because I knew how revolutionary it was. Well, I mean, you knew that as well. So I think I was like, oh yeah, this is age, but it was really novel at the time.
Was it?
I
Who did it
impressed.
first? Was it Assassin's Creed? Because that has a similar combat, right? Or was it this? Assassin's Creed's got the same kind of like you press X, then you press Y to counter.
Yeah, the difference with Assassin's Creed is you kind of plant your feet
Yeah.
and they stand in a circle around you and you
Very
wait for them to
polite.
attack and just counter. Whereas this, I think the thing that really stands out is the fact that you press attack and someone could be like 8 meters away and you just backflip over to them and whack them. I think that's the thing. That ping-ponging around enemies is kind of
But then it's
what
annoying
stands
when
out.
it doesn't work. But it's annoying when they're a bit too far away and Batman just kind of goes like...
It normally works, though.
Yeah, it does work,
It normally works. And then that counter system that You know, like, and I don't think like any individual thing you could say, oh, well, actually, Spider-Man on the PlayStation 2 had a camera system. Like, I think but it's like the way it all works
Was that an impression
together.
of me?
That's an impression of everyone.
Okay.
Everyone who was thinking it. I think it's just the way it worked together. It like put all of the ingredients in a new way and did something good, and then everyone else copied it.
I think I would like to put it one above Splinter Cell Blacklist.
I'd want to.
Which is 15.
I enjoyed Blacklist more.
Did you?
Yeah. I think that like the game, like,
but
like story is.
The tone of Blacklist was so lame.
It's purely just on the gameplay. I think the gameplay really just held up. Like, but you know, I wasn't even really thinking about it being an older game. I like the kind of slightly immersive simminess and all of like. I like the gadgets.
God, imagine
and the
Batman immersive sim. Imagine if this was like Prey. That would be crazy, wouldn't it? That would be so good. But our Splinter Cell video, I think the title is Splinter Cell meets Arkham. So I feel like Arkham Asylum needs to go above it purely because of that.
I mean, I'm close because I do love the story and the setting is so much better. You know, you're nice to me in the past. I'll give you
nice
that.
To you, aren't I? All right.
And I know you're not going to fight for it to go higher because then it's going to meet Resident Evil. So
Yeah,
I know it's going to end there.
Absolutely. Okay, so it's in the top 50.
Top
Batman.
50.
Well, oh, by the way, did you play as the Joker? Did you do that side mode?
No, I saw there's like challenge rooms.
Yeah,
right?
I did the Joker one purely because I wanted to see what it was like, and he's just exactly like Batman. Like he flips around. He's much more like circus performer in his attacks, but otherwise.
Yeah. Well, when I finished the game, the one thing I wasn't like was more just combat, please.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, nice one. Would you like to? Well, well done, Batman. First of all,
GG, well done, Batman.
GG's.
BB. Or BM.
Would you like to hear what's coming up?
Please, just start talking. Just stop me talking before I keep digging this hole.
Okay, Doom the Dark Ages is next. 13th of June. That is out the day before this episode goes live. And it's on Game Pass. So go and download it. You'll have a month. We have 4 weeks to play it. This is obviously the first episode of our new schedule. We're doing one episode every 4 weeks, which means both of us finish Batman. And we'll probably both finish Doom. Unless it comes out and it's 100 hours, which I doubt it is.
Oh, we don't like it.
Oh, we don't like it. We've got a guest as well on that one. It's my little brother. I'm going to keep it secret. Well, we don't need to do that anymore. Okay. My little brother's coming on. He loves Doom. He's really good at it. So he's coming on.
And he's going to be recording as well. So there should be good
Yes,
gameplay.
He plays it on the hardest difficulty. So it'll be people will be commenting like, whoever's recording this is cracked. I like when they put that.
Does he play on PC?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Why?
Well, no, it'll look better, won't you? It'll be better. We'll probably both be on console, right?
Yeah. July the 11th to be confirmed.
Yeah.
Still to be confirmed.
Okay, yeah.
Fine. Death Stranding 2, August 8th. And that is 6 weeks after the release of the game. So lots of time for people to play it. Because apparently that's pretty long.
Yep.
Then in September, we have Andy Robertson coming back on from Ludicine. We had him on to talk about Ludicine accessibility in games. He's not picked a game yet, but he's coming on in September.
He's got time.
October, we have another guest that I don't know if you want to announce or not.
Which one is it? Oh yeah, no, not yet.
Okay,
We're locking a date.
Okay,
there's someone else who says they're up for joining the podcast. That's where the conversation's ended.
Cool. All right.
But yeah, it'll be a fun one.
So anyway, yeah, I guess next time will be 13th of June, Doom the Dark Ages. And we've actually got some other videos planned. And we have a Let's Play coming pretty soon.
Yeah, so if it's not out already, keep an eye on the YouTube channel for a trailer coming soon to reveal the game and the hats.
All the comments will be like, you need to give your editor a raise.
Ollie edited this one. I edited the last one. Ollie edited this one.
I think that's everything from us. Obviously, Patreon. We're still on Patreon. We're still putting out extra credit. It's also one every 4 weeks. So where there used to be a normal podcast episode, an extra credit is now in its place.
But they're twice as good now.
They're twice as
good.
That's how he says.
We actually have time to play other games now. So if you want to hear us discussing, what did we discuss? Blueprints.
Expedition 33.
Yeah. If you want us to hear us talk about just other games that we're playing or things we've been up to, that's your only option.
Cool.
Unless you know us.
Yeah.
then give me a call.
Yeah. Right. That's everything then.
Right. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in a month. Bye, guys.
Bye.